Hi guys, today I'll be sharing with you my experience using Kaplan as my MCAT test prep course. I actually took two courses, one in person when we could all still be in person, and one online course. And so I'll leave the names of the courses I took somewhere on the screen, but I just want to share my experiences with them and tell you the pros, the cons, did it work, was it worth all that money, because they're really expensive. If you are in the midst of deciding whether or not you should go ahead and purchase a really expensive course from a company, or if you wanted to self-study, etc., then just keep watching. And so the first time I took my MCAT was between my junior and senior year. Over the summer, I took at the end of summer, and I took the MCAT course at the beginning of summer, I think sometime around June. It was the most intense class that they offered. I forgot exactly what the days were, but basically it was an in-person class, and it was like 3 or 4 days a week, and we had homework every single day, and then there was basically a practice exam every weekend, or at least at the end. And so would I recommend it? Yes, but it depends on the type of person you are. That's not the best answer, but if you are someone like me who likes to go to a physical classroom, a physical location, who likes blocking out their schedule, to like walk there, to study, to have homework, to have classmates, to have teachers, then this is probably a good course for you. And so the pros of this class is that they really focus on highlighting the main information that you need to know, instead of having to know every single little detail. Even though I do know that some people say Kaplan is very, very detailed, I found that it was just the right amount of detail for me as someone who did not have a strong content foundation. So I found that it was just the right amount of content for me to learn. Another pro of this class is that it is very structured, and so if you're someone like me who doesn't like creating their own study schedule just because of the type of person I am, then this is also a good course for you, because you don't have to spend all those hours like blocking out your weeks and months and like trying to figure out what your schedule should be. Like, that's all done for you. The third pro of this class is like what I said, that it is in person, and then so you do get the challenge of talking to people, answering questions, and you get to use the information and tips and tricks that you've learned and actually apply it in like an actual classroom setting, which I think could be really helpful, because just reading stuff doesn't mean that you internalize it. Like, you really have to use and practice what you learn to actually like internalize it, for lack of a better word. And so the last pro can also be a con. It is that this course is really intense. And so it is a pro for very obvious reasons. You are really just like thrown into this MCAT prep world, and then you don't really have time to focus on anything else, which is good if you're trying to study over a short period of time and you're trying to take the exam soon. However, it is also a con, because if you're someone like me who had a busy schedule, then this is not the right class for you. And so when I was taking this course, I was working like 15 to 20 hours a week. I was also volunteering like 5 to 10 hours a week. And so I didn't realize how intense this course was going to be before I set up these engagements for myself. Compared to like regular school year Julia, like only 2 like responsibilities was also very low for me. However, throwing the MCAT prep course on top of everything, looking back, it was just way too much for me. Like, I didn't have the time to like actually dedicate to the MCAT, and I really should have. And I was really just trying to push myself to take this exam over the summer and trying to ace it in like those few, like 2 months, and basically be ready for it by the 3rd month. That was not realistic. There were so many gaps in my knowledge, there were so many warnings, like I should not have done it. So I want to say that if you do have other responsibilities, then do give yourself time after this course to actually learn the material and to review it, review content, and to use the AAMC courses. And that goes into the second con of this course, which is it is a Kaplan course, and then so your questions and the test bank, question bank, the test structure and questions and how they're asked is not going to be the same as the actual exam. And so Obviously, the best materials to practice off of is the ones that the AAMC gives you. However, that is pretty limited, which is why I know a lot of people try to go out and like use UWorld or find extra prep courses such as Kaplan to have other question banks that they can have access to. However, I did find the Kaplan questions, like the structure was nowhere similar to the AAMC ones, which is really obvious since they're not the same test maker, etc. And so if you're on a short time crunch, then don't take this course and just go study directly with like the AAMC questions and UWorld, because I did find UWorld questions more similar to the actual exam questions. And obviously, the con that I'm not going to say is a con, but it's very obvious, is that it's very expensive. And so if you're very tight on budget, I don't think that this class is worth it. Like, I think this class is only for those who have a way to pay for this without stressing out their financial situation. So even though I did have a good experience from this class, like, I did not find it essential. And if you watch my other video, then you would also know that after I took this course, I scored below 500 on this exam. That's no way a reflection of this course, but it's just because of the things I said previously. I did not give myself enough time to actually learn the content, internalize the tips and tricks. Like, I was rushing it way too much, and I just didn't have my entire focus on the MCAT that summer, and so that's why I did not do great. I go more into it in my other videos. Go check it out if you want to know more of my own struggles and my own journey. But yeah. After I failed the MCAT, I took some time off just to bring my GPA up, my grades up. I took like 2-3 months off, and I started studying again at the end of fall semester, and mostly started doing work over winter break. So that's when I enrolled in the online asynchronous learning course. It wasn't the cheapest option, but it was basically the one where I would still have access to all the materials that I was using to study off of, while not having to pay for like a live instructor. Because like I already went through the course, I felt like I didn't really need a live instructor anymore. It would just be the exact same material except repeated. And so having their asynchronous like learning videos was just enough for me already. So that's why I chose that course. And another reason is because they gave me a really good discount on the course. So even though I couldn't get the money back guarantee, because I still scored higher than my diagnostic test, which just shows you how low my diagnostic test was. So that's another thing. Read the guidelines for the money back guarantee before you actually enroll in these courses, if that is something you want to take advantage of. Because I did not read the fine lines carefully enough, and so I did lose some money there, but we don't think about it, it's okay. It was the last bit of like my scholarship money. I did pay my tuition, I was set on housing and everything, so I just threw that money into this course because I was like, okay, let's make an investment in my future, part 2. And so the pros is that you do get access to a lot of the Kaplan materials. And so I wouldn't recommend it because, like I've already mentioned, it's on materials that's going to look familiar to you when you take the exam your actual day. Like the question structure and the way they ask questions is just too different from the actual exam for me to actually feel like it was worth it. I just chose to continue doing it because I wanted to have access to the content material, because I had a really wide content gap that I was trying to fill, which is not the story, not the case of most people. I know most people I know have trouble taking the actual exam. Like, even though I have like testing anxiety and I'm like not a good test taker, like I know content is where I struggled the most and where I could help improve my score the most. And so that's what I wanted to focus on, and I did like the Kaplan videos for content. I did also use Khan Academy, but for Khan Academy for the MCAT portion. But if you had, obviously if you did have some money to spend and you wanted extra courses, then go ahead and buy the Kaplan materials. But ultimately, it's only if you're in a situation where this is not going to cause you a lot of financial burden, etc. If you're planning to study in an asynchronous learning environment and like basically studying independently, then I would just recommend doing Euro practice questions, doing the AAMC like question bank, like buy a set of books, like either from Kaplan or like Princeton or Exam Crackers, whoever, and like buy a set of books and like review the main content, like key points, because I'm pretty sure like all the books will give you the key concepts that you have to know, and will highlight out the key concepts that you have to know, so you don't even need like a testing company to help you do that. And just study off those materials and you'll probably do equally fine. So the third time I took my exam, like that's what I did. I didn't use any test prep courses. You know that my third exam score didn't really count. It did go up, and that's what I did. I studied off UWorld primarily and the WAMC questions, and just really reviewed all those questions and the content that came with those questions, and that did help that did bring up my score by 5 points, which is a little bit less, but still similar to the point increase from between my first and second exam. So long story short, yes, I would recommend the in-person course depending on the type of student you are, and no, I would not recommend the online asynchronous learning course. Sorry, Kaplan. And I think that's all I want to say about my experiences using the Kaplan courses, and if you guys have any other questions regarding Kaplan MCAT test for courses or anything along those lines, then just leave a comment down below, shoot me a message, and yeah, see you guys next time. Bye.